when the ones that actually claim their blackness, it's sorry guys, but some of you guys be like, I know black, I know black, I know black, imposible, I know black, I'm Dominican. Obama.
Yo, the doctor is back in the office. Sorry for a little bit of a late start or a late recording on this video. I was watching the end of the World Series, but let's recap a banger of a card, banger in quotes, of UFC Fight Night. Steven Garcia versus David Onama. Steve Garcia, excuse me, we don't use the full government around here. Card overall was very mid. The last two fights were pretty good, but other than that, it pretty much sucked. There were some decent, finishes here and there, but there were only 2 KOs on the whole card. Let's get into it, starting with the main event of Steve Garcia versus David Onama, and it went fucking fast. I had picked Steve Garcia to win this by, I think, 3rd round finish, but he absolutely dominated David Onama. I mean, who does that to David Onama, guys? Who does that to David Onama? This guy is world class. He immediately started piecing up early, put a ton of pressure on him straight from the get-go, hurt him bad. Then you have David Onama walking around, running around, stumbling around the fucking octagon like he's fucking drunk. Then he was getting crushed along the fence, still stumbling everywhere. You could tell Herb Dean was looking to jump in, and then he gets finished on the ground. Steve Garcia, man, if you're not on the bandwagon now, I don't want to see you on the bandwagon ever. This dude is so fucking exciting. He just absolutely dominates guys. I mean, the Calvin Kattar fight, I'm not gonna lie, that was like when I was first like really like, oh shit, Steve Garcia, this guy's fucking legit. But now I'm like, man, this guy's quickly become one of my favorite fighters. Easily probably one of my 3 favorite fighters in the featherweight division behind probably Volk and Diego. But man, this dude is fucking electric. So much pressure. He's got that slick kind of striking boxing style where not only is he going to punch you in the fucking face, he's going to also work. He has great body work, great shots to the body. I love the way this dude fights. He called out Max Holloway, which makes 0 sense. I mean, he's like, oh, give him me for the BMF. Obviously, that's not going to happen. That has a negative chance of occurring. But I do think John Silva would be a really interesting matchup for him in terms of if you're looking through that top 10, it's like, what are the realistic matchups? I'd say Arnold Allen, who's 6th. I'd say Yusuf Zalal, who's 7. He was saying in like when he got on with fucking Michael Chiesa and D. Thomas and all those bums inside the studio, he was saying, oh, Brian Ortega, he would just kill Brian Ortega. Like, please don't do that. That's such a waste of a matchup. John Silva would be a really fun matchup. Arnold Allen would be a decent matchup, and so would Yusuf Zalal. I had matched up Arnold Allen and Yusuf Zalal in another video, so I don't want to go against what I'm saying, but I honestly could see the Zalal matchup happening simply because Zalal was in David Onama's corner tonight, just yelling, no, 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 or like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like when David Onama was in the ring, like octagon offering 0 insight whatsoever. So that was useless, but I could see that matchup happening. And Steve Garcia at the end of it started randomly talking about how one of his boys was killed 3 weeks ago and was supposed to be here, so that was fucking odd. I also think Yair Rodriguez could be a matchup for Steve Garcia. Yair, this dude never fights. That would be such a massive jump in competition, but honestly, Steve Garcia, I would love to watch this dude just slime out fucking Yair Rodriguez. Not saying it would happen, because Yair Rodriguez has elite level striking, but it's definitely an option in terms of opponents. So I think there's a lot of ways he can go, but credit for him for taking a fight against a guy who's only, 1 spot below him in the rankings. He could have waited around, but he decided to take this fight and fucking beat David Onama's ass by round 1 finish. Down the card we go to easily one of the goofiest and most unique fights I think I've ever seen in the history of the UFC. Hold on, let me accept all the cookie. Let me accept all that cookie shit. Excuse me for having that on the screen. Why the fuck is that still there? Alright, we're accepting all the cookie shit. Fitting that we'd be accepting cookies for a fat heavyweight matchup like we have right here. What a fucking odd fight. The matchup starts and Ante Delija's doing a good job, putting forward pressure on, kind of breaking him down with the calf kicks. Not much is happening, and then they kind of get up on the clinch on the fence. But then there's a sequence along the fence where these two dudes are swinging wildly, and he fucking clips him. And it looks like he's clipped him bad and finishes him standing up. But then Mark Smith doesn't wave his hands, and originally I thought the fight was over. And then you show the replay, bad eye poke, pretty awful. And I thought, oh shit, this is going to be a no contest. Fitting that Ante Delija, Tom Aspinall's training partner, is now the one poking people in the eyes. Weird how the world works, am I right? But then Mark Smith is like, no, we're going to continue to fight. I thought it was an interesting job in terms of reffing, where I don't really even know what was right and what was wrong, because I know some people on Twitter, probably because they had bets on Delija, and I picked Delija to win, were saying it should have just, I don't even know what they were saying. It should have been no contest. But, I think good job by Waldo Cortes Acosta just being like, fuck it, we're going to fight. And he really did eye poke. You could see it was definitely, swelled up or bothered when he was in like the post-fight interviews with the fucking random, ringside girls or whoever the fuck they are. And then the first real punch he throws, he just fucking knocks him out cold. It was so funny. I was like, oh my, like that, you're never going to see something like that again. That was insane. And then he knocks him out and then immediately grabs his eye. I was like, all right, Waldo, like it could be bad, but you didn't get hit in the eye again. And just insane. Now, and I was a guy who hated on Salsa Boy. I really kind of only liked him because he was the fat Dominican, so I thought he was funny. But now I'm all in on this dude. He's so funny, the fact that he won this fight. It's so fitting that after we had all this Tom Aspinall drama with the eye poke and the Cyril Gane fight, now we have fucking Waldo Cortes Acosta getting eye poked by Tom Aspinall's teammate and fucking pulling out a sick KO. Like, you're never going to see that shit again. And then the fucking post-fight interview with DC. He's like, I know back, I am Dominican. Que lo que, papi? Que lo que? He poked me in the eye. That sounded Italian, but he's like, he poked me in the fucking eye. He dropped the 80 F-bombs. He's like, hola, me llamo the dia fucking eye. Tom Aspinall. Like, he was saying shit like that. It was so funny. And the best part is I can speak Spanish, and I just did an awful job doing Spanglish right there. I gotta be better than that. But overall, really funny fight. Obviously, I picked Delija, so I'm upset because I like this dude. But man, what a goofball thing. And you have to imagine if you're Ante Delija, like the adrenaline up after you think you finish a guy, and then they have to stick you right back in the octagon after celebrating in Michael Bisping's face, and then you just get brutally knocked out by a fat Dominican man. It doesn't really get much worse than that. And I was thinking when Ante Delija won this, I was like, man, that's right, because there's no world where Waldo Cortes Acosta could really be in a position where he's about to fight for a title. And guess what? He's probably one more win away, and then you're talking about this dude fucking fighting for the heavyweight belt. So that's absolutely ridiculous, but it was one of the most unique and funny endings to a fight you will ever see. Credit to Waldo Cortes Acosta for pulling that one out. Down the card we go to a really boring fight. Most of this card was boring. Only those two fights are really exciting. We have Jeremiah Wells versus Temba Gorimbo. This not much to say here. Early on, I kind of liked Temba Gorimbo's game plan. He was landing early takedowns. He had some nice ground and pound. And at the end of that first round, Jeremiah Wells kind of landed a useless takedown. But I liked how Temba Gorimbo, he was whipping kicks to the body early in that second. He was doing a nice job with his hands to split Jeremiah Wells' guard on the feet. But then there was a time where I think Jeremiah Wells had Temba Gorimbo up against the fence and then had him in kind of a ninja choke and level change and then just blast double leg on him and had like an arm triangle attempt on that second round. Third round was kind of more the same. Jeremiah Wells, he started really landing shots, like had a guillotine in, took him down again, and had a ton of control time, was threatening submission a couple times, and landed enough elbows, probably did enough on the ground. This fight was incredibly boring. Temba Gorimbo, you win really no money now. You can't scam any other families in Africa anymore. It's a real shame. I hope The Rock builds you another fucking house. You bum. Jeremiah Wells is emotional. I think this was his first fight in the UFC. Or first win in the UFC in a couple years. So good for him. I really have nothing to say about this fight. It was so boring. And like most of this card, there's not going to be any hard-hitting analysis. But as we move down the main card, this fight I actually do have a little bit to say something about. I had picked Isaac Dulgarian to win this fight. I thought, man, this guy has some really, he has this grappling style where he just mauls you, he ragdolls you. And then before the fight, the odds changed. It was like minus 270 to minus 130. Like the odds became close to even, and everybody on like MMA Twitter was like, what the fuck? And then it was starting to get revealed that apparently Dulgarian had an injury and it had been leaked to the sports books, which was causing a bunch of chaos. And funny enough, Isaac Dulgarian, his former coach was James Krause, who was involved in that whole like fucking gambling scandal where guys were throwing fights or whatever inside of his gym. You know, he had to sell his gym. He can't work in mixed martial arts anymore. I don't even know where he's at now. And the funny thing about Isaac Dulgarian is I saw a interview of this dude circling on Twitter from a couple days or a couple weeks ago where he was saying that fighters should get a cut of like the money that bettors put on them. And I was like, damn, this guy's going to fucking jail. He's gonna be rooming with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. Isaac Dulgarian, what a pathetic performance. And it looked even more apparent that it was rigged because Valle lands a really nice takedown early, and Isaac Dulgarian essentially like rolled straight into a rear naked choke, like survived for a little bit, but Del Valle was doing a nice job like poshing up on his back, landing shots, flattening him out, and then just landed that rear naked choke. Dulgarian was just not fighting the hands at all. He really did nothing. It was a dominant performance from the Cuban Yadier Del Valle. This fight had to be rigged because then I think certain sports books were offering like they were offering fucking like money back or something. I don't remember what was happening. It was a bunch of bullshit. This fight needs to be fucking investigated because I don't know what they're gonna do. Isaac Dulgarian, he should be locked in jail. That was embarrassing. Let's keep moving on, though. Down the card, we go to Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. This was a dominant performance from Charles Radtke. Probably one of the best of his career. I had him by first-round knockout, and he almost had a first-round finish. He almost had a rear naked choke in early. But, man, this fight, he really leaned heavily on the wrestling, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. He took this dude down so many times, blasted double legs. Again, nearly finished Daniel Frunza with a rear naked in that first round. Took him down again in the second, was landing a ton of shots on top, had a ton of control time. He just kept blasting takedowns, attempting submissions, and then finally got it in that third round. And he didn't need to because at that point he's already up 3-0, you know what I mean? So I give credit to him for finishing the fight, getting that fucking rear naked choke in. Good win for my boy, Charles Radtke. Just dominant performance, probably best of his career. And, you know, he's a guy who's had tough losses to what Mike Malott and fucking one other dude that I'm forgetting. Hold on, let me see who it was that his other losses. Mike Malott and fucking Carlos Prates. So he's a legit dude in terms of if you suck, he's going to beat you. I don't really know what's next for a Charles Radtke, but who knows? I'm excited. He really showed some dominant wrestling against Elekana and Daniel Frunza. And moving on to the first fight, the opener of the main card, we have what was really an interesting fight, actually. Alan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Charles Oliveira's cornering Alan Nascimento because he's a shoot-a-box guy. Shoot-the-box. Cody Durden came out really fucking aggressive. Alan, Nascimento has that classic shoot-the-box style where his fucking chin's up. He's awful striking defense. He's getting clipped, but nothing really like big is landing. Cody Durden was incredibly aggressive, pushing the pace, and I give credit to him because he was only on 10 days notice here, and he really did bring it. He was solid, but he was eating a ton of calf kicks early, and even though he was moving well, you could tell those were probably going to add up. Second round's kind of more the same where he's landing, but then and the whole time I was thinking, why is Alan Nascimento not shooting for fucking takedowns or trying to get him to the ground? But then he wobbled him, then he wobbled Cody Durden with like a hook or an elbow, and got him on the ground and got him in an Elekana, and Cody Durden, he's trying to push up the cage and then got fucking finished. It was really impressive because Alan Nascimento looked like absolute shit. The only thing that was really working for him were those leg kicks, and he really wasn't doing shit else on the feet. I was like, Cody Durden, he's really pushing a nice pace. Even if he can't get a finish, he should at least be able to he should be at least able to win a decision. But credit to Nascimento, the Bronx-esque. Then he called out Bedtime MMA. He called out Steve Erceg. That was cool. It would be an interesting fight. He probably deserves a top 15 guy because I think he's on like a 5-fight win streak or something. He's on a nice little streak for Alan Nascimento. I'm excited to see more of him, even though he didn't really particularly look great. He's a bigger flyweight, and he has really good grappling. I know it wasn't really shown a ton of this fight. It was mostly on the feet up until he, wobbled him and got him on the ground. But I'm excited to see this dude more. He's Brazilian, so I'm going to glaze him. I'll see how much I want to go in depth on some of these prelims. This one should be fast. Billy Elekana versus Kevin Christian. These two dudes were fucking circling the cage for the first couple of minutes. I was like, nothing's happening. They're just standing in range, throwing feints, throwing, calf kicks at each other. The ref, this actually, one thing I'll say about this fight, the official, whoever the fuck it was, I think it was some Italian guy, with some paisan, he says, watch the fingers. He stopped, told Kevin Christian to watch the fingers. And I really like that because none of these refs do anything. Now they continue, both of them continue to be moving their fingers around like this, like they're fucking, Chancellor Palpatine ready to shoot fucking lightning out of them. But at least somebody, tried to make a change and try to make a difference. Kevin Christian was doing a nice job trying to throw his front kick up the middle, had a couple nice front kicks, I guess. And I typed in my notes, these two dudes are circling around the cage doing nothing. And as I was typing about that, Billy Elekana drops him with like a counter right hand, finish, and gets him on the ground. And then he's fucking unconscious, right? Because he gets this choke in from behind. And the ref was on the left side of his body, and he was choking with the right hand about 80 times, and he didn't see it. And Kevin Christian just fucking died. Got submitted. Great win for Billy Elekana. It was kind of what I figured the fight would be in terms of really slow, and Billy Elekana kind of just landing more meaningful shots, but it just happened so much faster because Kevin Christian tried to take a risk and got fucking countered and died. So nice win for Billy Elekana. He's on a nice little streak with, wins over Ibo Aslan. Early in his career. I think there is a little bit of something there. Not necessarily saying this dude's gonna be a fucking champ or anything, but he's at least a decent light heavyweight. Moving down the card, we go to Timmy Cuamba versus Chang Ho Lee. Not a ton to say about this fight, honestly. Chang Ho Lee had shot for a takedown in the first round and then stayed on his back for 4 minutes, and that tired both these dudes out, but apparently tired Chang Ho Lee out more because he looked fucking gassed. He also cut Timmy Cuamba on the eye somewhere in that fight, or somewhere in that exchange or something. Lee kind of kept crashing for these takedowns and couldn't really land in them. I thought he landed a little bit more in the striking department that round. But then Timmy Cuamba kind of turned it up more towards the middle and landed a takedown, and then had like a face crank and a rear naked working in that round. And third round, again, Timmy Cuamba just looked a lot fresher in this fight. Chang Ho Lee, he looked gas. That first round kind of took a lot out of him. Timmy Cuamba was looking for a choke in that third round. This is what I get for picking a dude in Chang Ho Lee who the only real dudes he had beat were a rapper and 8 Nike sweatshop workers. He had beat nobody. Credit to Timmy Cuamba. These dudes both are not particularly good. I'm not going to be telling my grandkids. Remember when Timmy Cuamba and Chang Ho Lee fought in the Apex? Whatever. Whatever. Moving down the card we go. Dante Johnson looking a lot like a woman in this picture, but he beat the shit out of Cedric Dumas. I can't say that. I can't make that joke. But he beat the shit out of Cedric Dumas. Cedric Dumas spammed about 100 spinning back fists in this fight, none of which landed. It was interesting to see Dante Johnson was really turning this into kind of a wrestling fight. He was putting on a lot of pressure early on Dumas. Dumas landed a nice takedown and was just holding him along the fence. Dante Johnson then got up, had like a nice body lock around Cedric Dumas on the fence, and then fucking slammed Cedric Dumas. And I was like, oh, there's the fight. But then they got back up, and I kept thinking to myself, Dante Johnson should just break and bomb this dude with overhands because Cedric Dumas, he sucks. But that was the end of the first round. Round 2 comes, and then Johnson shoots a takedown and lands. And Cedric Dumas was on the bottom, and he was trying these fucking stupid, like, rolling thunder somersault kicks that didn't really land. The next thing you know, Dante Johnson subbed him with like an anaconda choke. Cut Cedric Dumas. You're absolutely terrible, and you're a criminal. Nobody ever wants to see you again. And moving on to a classic robbery. Or somewhat. There were some people on Twitter saying this wasn't robbery. Listen, I picked fucking Norma Dumont to win this fight. No, she had one of the dumbest game plans I've ever seen, where both these bitches, excuse me, I don't want to call them bitches, both of these women were just standing at range, flicking kicks at each other, waiting for each other to throw strikes. And then Vieira realized, I could just shoot takedowns on Norma Dumont. She's not going to do shit. And she took shot for takedowns, had the back, had like somehow Norma Dumont survived an arm triangle in that first round. Norma Dumont just continued to kind of be soft and not really want to do anything. She didn't throw shit. She needed to be more aggressive. Vieira kept landing a takedown, blasting her in defense. She realized, oh, Norma Dumont has 0 takedown defense. And at this point, I was like, oh, Kellen Vieira's up to nothing. Norma Dumont needs to finish. And nothing happened in that third round again. Vieira, nothing was going on. There was too much dancing. Norma Dumont didn't let her hands down, even though she didn't get taken down in that third round. Nothing occurred. And I'm like, oh, Kellen Vieira, she wins 2-1, whatever. You know, you never know with these women fights. They're bullshit. Who really knows? Who cares? And then I hear Joe Martinez say 29-28 Vieira, 29-28 Norma Dumont. I'm like, fuck, they just gave Norma Dumont a split decision. She won. Bad judges. I thought Kellen Vieira won this fight. But whatever, I picked Norma Dumont. Clearly they like her fat ass. That's really the only reason. Down the card we go to Alice Ardelean versus Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. I'll say this about Conejo Ruiz. She really got beat up bad in this fight in terms of she bled a lot, but she came out firing. She's a little Mexican, that Conejo Ruiz. We don't really like the tattoos, but she fights well. We're going to keep her visa. She's going to stay in America because she fought with a lot of fire. And trust me, I know fire. She really did a great job. It was okay from Conejo Ruiz. She's a midget. She came out swinging. Ardelean was just a lot cleaner on her feet, a lot more technical, landed more meaningful strikes, landed more total strikes. Had Conejo Ruiz on the back foot a lot after that first round and continued to throw nice volume. Good round for her. Stuffed a lot of takedowns as well. That's all I'll say about Alice Ardelean. And then Phil fucking Rowe versus Seok Ko. Seok Ko literally didn't even have a scratch on him. He just grapple fucked him the whole time. The fact that this dude's named the Korean Mike Tyson and landed really 0 meaningful like punches on the feet is pretty impressive. Phil Rowe has just looked absolutely gassed and got his will taken away from him. He was getting fucking brutalized with elbows on the ground, got taken down a billion times, got controlled a billion times. There were no sub attempts. He looked absolutely gassed. He sucks. Dominant from Seok Ko. I think he had 4 minutes of control time in every single round, and I don't even know what Phil Rowe's game plan was because he couldn't stuff one takedown. He was trying to win fights off his back, even though he is good off his back. It doesn't matter in this. Credit to Seok Ko for being named the Korean Mike Tyson and winning both of his UFC fights by grappling. And it's a shame that Ariane Carnellossi lost this fight because I picked her solely because of how nasty her shoulders look. And let me tell you something, on TV live, they looked even better. I need to Instagram DM her and be like, what's your shoulder routine? Because she has beautiful shoulders. Too bad that doesn't translate to fighting whatsoever because she sucked. She looked kind of like fucking gassed at times. I don't know. She got taken down so many times. Talita Alencar, credit to her. She had a little bit of a mini Marab. That's what I'm going to call Talita Alencar from now on. She was a little bit of mini Marab. Took Ariane Carnellossi down a couple times, and Carnellossi couldn't do shit and finished the rear naked in that third round. Carnellossi, I only picked her because of her massive shoulders. She can't wrestle. She doesn't fight like a dude whatsoever. She fought like a really shitty women's MMA fighter, which she is. And that's the card. I mean, it was pretty boring. I'd give it like a 5 or a 6. The main event, the co-main, for how goofy and funny they were, kind of saved it. Billy Elekana was a solid fight. I mean, the Dulgarian bullshit was weird. The Charles Radtke fight, I'll give him this. It was dominant, but it wasn't like fun really to watch. The Nascimento Durden fight was pretty good though. And it was fun to watch Dante Johnson absolutely slime out Cedric Dumas. But the highlight had to be the Delija fucking Waldo Cortes Acosta fight, because that was one of the funniest things you'll ever see, one of the most unique things you'll ever see within the UFC octagon. I mean, who doesn't love the Apex, guys? Because this is as good as it gets. Next week we have Gabriel Bonfim and Randy Brown. I mean, doesn't get any better than that. Barcelos' fight on that card next week. I think Ricky Simone's on that card. There's some other dudes too, so don't sleep next week. We got more Apex slop coming your way. Thank you all for watching. I'm sure nobody's watched this video because who cares about these fights? We're all saving up for Islam versus JDM. But either way, I appreciate all the support. Let me know what you guys think about these intros. I think they're pretty funny. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing out of the office.